Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Here we share beginner-friendly tutorial videos on Scratch, Roblox, Minecraft, web programming, and many more. And today we're going to teach you how to make a Scratch Easter egg game. Today's game is going to be connected to Easter. This will be a platform game where the player is a rabbit, and if we click green flag, we can control the player with arrow keys on a keyboard. If we want to go left, we press the left arrow key. If we want to go right, we press the right arrow key. If we want to jump, we need to press the up arrow key. And we can collect eggs. And if we collect an egg, our score increases. Then, if we want to go to the next level, we need to touch the star. So if we touch the star, then we go to the next level. So the platforms are in different places and the eggs are in different places as well. So let's get started. First, as always, go to scratch.mit.edu and you will land on the Scratch homepage. When you land on the Scratch homepage, click Create in the top left corner, and this will bring us to the new project that we're going to create. All right, and as you can see, there is a cat sprite already here, but we won't need it at all. So you can delete it. And secondly, if you go to backdrops, there will be another background that we will need to delete later. So let's start from the backdrop actually. The backdrop can be anything related to Easter really. I'm going to choose a simple blue sky backdrop. So I go to choose a backdrop and I select blue sky. And when the new backdrop is already here, I can delete the old one. That way we can also have, we can just have one backdrop for the whole project. Then the next step will be to create the sprites. So if you go to the sprite panel, you can have, there is a button called choose a sprite. So if you click on the choose a sprite button, you will see all the sprites available. Now I'm going to choose a couple of different sprites because in the game that we'll create, a lot of things will actually be sprites. The player is a sprite, which can be a little bit intuitive because the player is something that moves. However, the platform will be a sprite as well so that we can code it properly. And so will be the X and the star. So let's start from the rabbit. You have a hare and a rabbit. I'm going to choose a rabbit, but feel free to select the other one. All right, and it's very, very big as you can see. So let's make it 50. So there is a size panel and you can change it to 50. Yep, here it goes. All right, so right now we need to choose a star sprite. And for the star, actually the star is pretty small and we don't want it to be very, very difficult to reach to the other level. So let's make it 130. Let's move it to the top left corner as well. All right. And here goes the rabbit. Okie dokie. So right now, all we need to do is place the platform and the eggs. So again, we go to choose a sprite, and there is no sprite called platform. If you look for a platform, there is nothing here. But we have another idea. If you write a button, you'll have a pretty rectangular button that serves perfectly as a platform as well. So you can change its size to 75 and it will serve as our platform. Okay, and the last thing, the egg. Now the egg is a little bit tricky because if you go to choose a sprite and select an egg, you have an egg, but it's not an Easter egg. You can use those and decorate it yourself using the paint tool. That is a very good idea. However, you can also upload any other sprite that you like. For me, so I press back. For me, I'm going to upload my own Easter egg sprite. The link to download the image will be in the description box, so feel free to use it as well. So this time I hover the mouse over choose the sprite button, and then I go up without clicking anything, and I select upload sprite. When I select Upload Sprite, my file manager appears, and you can choose the location where your image was downloaded. So for a lot of you, it will probably be the folder Downloads. For me, I saved it on my desktop, so you can see a beautiful egg, but it's huge. So as always, I'm changing the size, and this time I'm changing the size to 10. All right, so that's it for adding the basic sprites. Now we need to make sure that the game knows that the platform and the ground is the same thing, because both platforms and the ground are things on which we can walk, and it's going to be important when we code it for them to be in the same color. So if you go to the backdrop again, and instead of code, select the backdrop bookmark, scroll down a little bit and select the line tool here. And then you can change the thickness to 50. You can choose a different color. For me, it's going to be black because it's the easiest to remember, but you can choose a different color. However, be mindful not to select the same color as the egg or the star or the background, because it's going to blur into one another and the game will not work. So after selecting the color, draw a line by dragging the line from left to right, or from right to left, at the bottom of the screen. Then go to button and do exactly the same at the top of the button. Right, so right now we have the same color on the ground and the platform, and we're ready to go. You can also move the rabbit around so that it's just above the ground, and the same for the egg. It has to be just above the platform. Then, if you have the button, you can rename it in the top left corner to platform so that we remember what we're doing. So it's going to make the coding a little bit easier. Okay. And then we press enter. And then we need to code 4 different platforms. So we need to have 4 different platforms in the game. So we also need to create 4 different sprites for each platform. Well, even though they're not really different, they will be distinct sprites that will have their own name and their own position. So we right click on the platform and then click duplicate. And again, right click on the button and duplicate. And the third one also duplicate. When you have created all of those platforms, feel free to move them around to design the level as you want. So this will be my level design, but you can choose any other design. And as you can imagine, in the demo of the game, we had 3 different eggs. So we're going to also duplicate the eggs 2 times so that we can have 3 different eggs. And place them slightly above different platforms, or maybe somewhere in the air. That's up to you. All right, so as you can see, we have 4 different platforms, 3 different eggs, a star, and the same color on the ground and on the platforms. And this will be it for the design of the project. So now let's get coding. First, we're going to code the rabbit movement. But before we do so, just a quick reminder that if you like this video so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. And you can also check out all the other videos that we have created so far. So let's code the rabbit first. It's the player, so it's very important to code it. As usually, click on the rabbit sprite in the sprite panel. And if you're still doubtful whether you have the right sprite selected, you can take a look at the top right corner of the white place. So there should be a rabbit there. So if you see a rabbit, then it means you're coding the rabbit. So the code will be in the correct player, in the correct sprite. And the game starts, as always, when the green flag is clicked. So when the green flag is clicked, we need to go to the starting position. And this can be done by going to motion and go to XY. So the X and Y positions will already be saved from the current position of the sprite, so you don't need to adjust them. If you want to, you can, but if you just want this position, then don't change the numbers here. And the second thing that we're going to do is a little bit more tricky, but it will make the movement much better. So if we set the rotation style to left and right, the rabbit will never flip upside down. So it will only face left or face right, but it will never go upside down when we move around. So that's the first step. And then we need to code what happens throughout the entire game. So for the main game loop, it's called, we usually use the forever block because it has to run throughout the entire game. So let's go to control, drag in forever, and then do two things. First of all, we need to add gravity so that if we are not on the ground, we fall down towards the ground. So if, now we go to operators, not on the ground, so we are going to detect whether we're on the ground by checking the color. So if not touching, not mouse pointer, if not touching color, and the color will be the color that you have selected for me it's just black, so I can click by the color picker. And then if I'm not touching the ground color, then I have to go down. So again, go to motion and change Y by -10. Secondly, if we are touching star 2, so if we're just touching the star, then we go to level 2. So we need another control block. And if we are touching the star, so we're dragging the touching mouse pointer, be mindful that this is a mouse pointer by default, but we are going to change the mouse pointer to star. And then we need to go to level 2. Now, how do we go to level 2? This is actually a little bit complicated because we need to notify all the characters that they have to change their position. So platforms have to move, eggs have to move. But for now, we're just going to broadcast a message. This is in events. And we'll select a new message, and the message name will be level 2 so that we know what we're doing. All right, so now we have the general rules of moving the rabbit, but we do not have the movement to the left, to the right, and jumping. So let's code the movement and let's code jumping. This will be done by using different keys on the keyboard. So let's start from the left arrow key. When the left arrow key is pressed, we need to move left. Now, when do we stop moving left? We stop moving left when we release the arrow key. Just like in normal games. If you're pressing, we need to go. If you're not pressing, we stop. So let's wrap it around in a loop called repeat until. And we will repeat it until not key pressed. So the key is not pressed anymore. And remember that we need to check the left arrow key as well. Then we go to motion. So we point in the right direction. And the right direction, if we go to the left, is going to be to the left. So it's -90. And then we change X by -10, which moves us to the left. And this is optional, but it makes the rabbit look really nice. So if you go to looks, you have a block called next costume, and this will make the rabbit change the costumes in a cycle when they're moving around. And this will make it look a little bit like it's running, like a real rabbit. All right, so now, because the right arrow key is going to be very similar, let's copy and paste the blocks by clicking right-clicking on the whole panel on the yellow side and clicking duplicate, and then another one will appear. Then change left arrow to right arrow, change direction -90 to 90, and change -10 to 10. Okay, and this is the movement. So the only thing that's left is the jumping. For jumping, we will use the up arrow key. So let's start with event, and again, when the up arrow key is pressed. But this time we will not use the repeat until block. This is because we will not use change X, but we will use gliding to make the movement more smooth. So we go to motion, and then in the motion category, you have a block that says glide to a certain position. So we will glide for half a second to a position. So let's change 1 second to 0.5. And in the X, we will leave the X position as it is. And for Y, let's drag it here and then add a little bit to it. So let's drag the plus operator and select Y position plus 75. In this way, the jumping position will be exactly the same, but a little bit higher. So it will not move left or right. And when we have done that, let's wait 1 second so that we don't repeat the jump immediately. Otherwise, it would be possible to double jump infinitely many times, and it will be very easy to reach the star. All right, so this would be it for the movement of the rabbit. Now let's think of how can we code anything else. So let's code the first egg sprite. This will be my first egg sprite. Remember to check if you have an egg image here. And when the green flag is clicked, first let's create the score. So we need to have a way to count how many eggs we have collected. So let's go to variables and make a variable called score for all sprites. And set this variable to 0. Then we need to show the egg. So even if we have eaten it in the previous game, the egg will have to show up in the new game. So let's show it. And let's go to a certain position. So every egg already has its own position. So that's going to be the egg position for me. And let's go to control. And let's code what happens in the main game loop, so throughout the entire game. Let's select an if block. And if we are touching the rabbit, this means that the egg has already been eaten. So if we're touching the rabbit, we will need to hide the egg. So let's go to sensing. And if touching rabbit, then we need to hide the egg. And another thing we'll need to do is increase the score of the player because they have eaten an egg. So they should receive a point. Is the goal of the game to collect all the eggs. So let's go to variables again and change the score by 1. All right. And that should be it. Don't worry if the X and Y values are different because you have created different levels. You might have different X and Y. Now let's code the other two eggs. So let's scroll down and go to egg 2. And again, when the green flag is clicked, we can show the egg and drag and drop the X and Y, go to XY motion block. If you don't want to code everything else from scratch, you can go to egg and then drag and drop the code you have created into another sprite. So you will see that it's tilting a little bit, which means it have been selected. So now if you go to egg 2, you will see this block. and you can just drag and drop it again. So let's do the same for egg number 3. So let's start the game when the green flag is clicked. Then let's show the egg and let's go to the right position. And then let's copy everything else. Okay, and then put it in the right position. All right, so we should have all the eggs coded already, at least for the first level. Now we still don't have anything connected to the star, so let's code the star. And the star is going to be very similar. So it has to start on the green flag, as always. It has to be shown, and it has to go to the right position. Now, forever, if it's touching the rabbit, then, and we need to think of what happens next. So if it's touching the rabbit, let's touching the rabbit. And then we actually need to hide the star because it's not possible to go from level 2 to level 3 anymore. Level 3 won't exist, although you might want to create it yourself. So we need to hide the star. And we don't need to broadcast the message level 2 because it's already broadcast by the rabbit. So if you go to star, this is more than enough. So this will already work. Now we need to code the platforms so that they start in the initial position as well. So for every platform you see, there will be a very, very simple code. When the green flag is clicked, then you go to motion and go to the right position. And again, new platform, when the green flag is clicked. And then another one, when the green flag is clicked, we go to X and Y, and the last one. And in this way, we can move the platforms around and change it to level 2. And when we press the green flag again, it will still be level 1. So the positions that are on the start will be remembered by the game. So next, a little bit of design work again. Let's arrange our platforms in a different way. So you can change the positions of everything. Okay, and this will be my level 2. Feel free to change it to any other level you like. And then when we receive message level 2, as was broadcast by the rabbit, we will have to change all the positions available. So first of all, let's go to the first button. And let's select when I receive level 2 from the messages. So when I receive level 2, and then go to motion and go to a new position. And repeat that for every egg and every platform. So when I receive level 2, drag and drop it. You might be tempted to duplicate it. However, I advise you not to do it because then the positions will be duplicated as well, which means you will not be able to change the position. Everything will be in the same position. So the only thing I'm doing is dragging the when I receive level 2 and go to blocks. And remember not to delete anything else. All right. Additionally, for the eggs, there will be one more thing to do. Because when we eat all the eggs in level 1, they should still appear in level 2. So for the eggs, let's go to looks and let's show the eggs again. So when I receive level 2, we go to position and then show the eggs. You don't need to show the platform because the platforms never hide. All right, so right now you should have all the positions set and ready, and you can save the project now. You can give it a nice title, and this will be it when it comes to coding. So let's see how our project actually works. So let's click the green flag, and as you can see, we are in the first level. And we can jump around with the rabbit. The rabbit moves like a real rabbit, so it changes the costumes. And if we go up, then we jump. It's quite difficult to navigate. Yep, but if it goes too high, it comes down on the ground. And then if we reach the star, then we can go to the next level and play around with the next level as well. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for staying with us, and thanks for watching all the videos. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and like this video and check out all the other videos while you're waiting for the next one. Thank you very much again, and see you next time.